Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 8 Part 8 based on novel. So let's start. The eyes of the entire place had gathered towards the area where Dao Sect was. Clearly, a slight change that had suddenly occurred caused the current situation to change slightly. Although everyone were uncertain why that Chen Gui would intervene and help Dao Sect, the situation was undoubtedly one where Dao Sect had gained an extremely powerful helper. Faced with the rank number on the sect's wanted list, it was likely that even little Yuan King Yuan Kang would feel a little restraining fear. It is unexpected that even Chen Gui has appeared. Ling Qingzhu's eyes gazed into the distance. A slight fluctuation flashed across her eyes as she softly muttered. "Who is that girl called Qingtan?" Wu Kun asked in a somewhat surprised manner. From the looks of the situation, the girl in black seemed to have quite a deep relationship with Lin Dong. Chen Gui seemed to have intervened and aided Dao Sect because of her. She seems to be Big Brother Lin Dong's younger sister. I have heard them mention it in the past. Su Ruo looked at Qingtan, who was extremely close with Lin Dong. Envy flashed deep within her eyes as she spoke. So it's like that, Wu Kun nodded slightly. Immediately, his eyes looked towards the direction of Yuan Gate. He said, although they have the help of Chen Gui, there is still some gap between the strength of Dao Sect and Yuan Gate. This matter is becoming increasingly complicated. Lin Dong slowly stepped forward in front of the eyes from the entire place. After which, he looked towards the direction of Yuan Gate. A chilling light flowed within his eyes. This area does not exclusively belong to your Yuan Gate. Whether my Dao Sect disciples wish to remain here is not something that your Yuan Gate can decide. The eyes of little Yuan King Yuan Kang narrowed. A glint flashed through them like the edge of a blade. His finger gently slipped down the iron sword in his hand as he spoke in an apathetic manner. Don't tell me that you have the courage to provoke my Yuan Gate just because you have gained a helper. What helper? If your Yuan Gate wishes to fight, I will accompany you. Lin Dong spoke in a free and easy manner. What an arrogant tone. Someone like you actually dares to act arrogantly in front of us. Do you really think that you are almighty just because you have relied on a clever little trick to win once? Lei Qian's eyes were dark and stern as he sneered. Won't you know whether it is a clever little trick or not if you try again? Lin Dong smilingly said. Lei Qian's eyes became stern when he heard this provocation by Lin Dong. A murderous aura rose within his body. However, he was much more cautious this time around. His eyes immediately looked towards little Yuan King Yuan Kang. Yuan Kang narrowed his eyes and stared at Lin Dong. After which, he laughed faintly. Since someone wishes to seek his own humiliation, you should fulfill his wish, Lei Qian. A ferocious smile immediately emerged on Lei Qian's face when he heard this. Both of his fists slowly tightened as he strided forward and cried out, Lin Dong, since your Dao Sect refuses to leave, I shall give you an opportunity. Rely on your own strength and step forward to battle me. If you win, my Yuan Gate will not say any other unnecessary words. If you lose, you shall bring everyone from your Dao Sect and swiftly get lost from this place. Do you dare to accept? Lei Qian's voice rumbled across the basin while being wrapped by his powerful Yuan power. It reverberated beside the ears of everyone present. After his experience from the previous time, Lei Qian had clearly become much smarter. He no longer restricted himself with his words. Moreover, he had directly specified a direct head-on fight. Additionally, he even had added, rely on your own strength. In this way, Lin Dong would be unable to use the demon corpse. Humph, the demon corpse is also controlled by Lin Dong. Why is it not considered his strength? Your skin is really thick. Ying Xiaoxiao immediately laughed coldly when she heard these words. Stop uttering nonsense. If you are unwilling, we engage in an all-out battle and see just who will emerge victorious in the end. Lei Qian smiled in a venomous manner. You? Ying Xiaoxiao felt fury in her heart when she saw how shameless Lei Qian had become. Before she could say anything, however, Lin Dong waved his hand gently and slowly stepped forward. Swoosh! The eyes from the entire place were immediately locked onto Lindong's body when he stepped out. From the looks of it, Lindong was actually really planning on accepting this challenge from Lei Qian. Lindong. There was a slight change on the faces of Ying Xiaoxiao and Wang Yang. Lindong might have forced Lei Qian to withdraw in a dejected manner the last time around, but he had only won through a trick. This time around, Lei Qian, who was going to go all out and would obviously not give Lindong such an opportunity. If Lindong was to take the initiative and give up the advantage of the demon corpse, how would he battle Lei Qian? Let me fight instead. A voice suddenly sounded behind Lindong when he stepped forward. After which, everyone was stunned to see Qingtan step forward. At this moment, her hand was holding a black scythe with a somewhat exaggerated appearance. That scythe was even larger than her entire body. Strange symbols were vaguely visible on the blade, while an unusually dark and cold sharp ripple spread out it. The girl in black was holding the large black scythe in her hand. That appearance was quite comical and cute. Ying Xiaoxiao and the rest were stunned as they stared at Qingtan. After which, their eyes paused on the black scythe in her hand. They could vaguely sense a majestic ripple from the scythe. Evidently, this black scythe was a pure Yuan treasure. Lindong was also momentarily startled when Qingtan spoke. Immediately, he knitted his brows and spoke in a deep voice, "Go and stay in one corner." Although he could sense that the current Qingtan was no longer that little girl, who had become very weak after being tortured by the cold qi, he was still unwilling to see her step forward to fight with others while he was around. Oh! Qingtan, who was originally acting in a mighty manner, was directly beaten down by these words of Lindong. She could only pull back bitterly. "Lindong, will it be all right?" Ying Xiaoxiao hesitated and asked. Their Dao sect indeed hoped that they would not have to engage in a big battle with Yuan Gate here. However, if Lindong had to take such a risk, it might be better for them to truly engage in an all-out fight with the other party. Lindong shook his head slightly. After which, he slowly stepped forward. Those somewhat cold eyes were directly locked onto the ferociously smilingly Lei Qian in the distance. His voice was calm. "I shall receive this challenge." A series of uproars suddenly sounded out in the basin after these words were heard. Clearly, everyone did not expect that Lindong would actually dare to directly abandon the advantage of the demon corpse and accept this challenge from Lei Qian head-on. Such an action is truly not wise. Wu Kun from Nine Heaven's Supreme Purity Palace had a surprised look on his face as he muttered. There will no longer be any fooling around like last time. Lei Qian will not give him even the slightest opportunity. He is seeking his own humiliation. He is not a fool. If he does not have the confidence, he will not easily accept the fight. Ling Qingzhu shook her head slowly. Her clear eyes looked towards the skinny figure that was walking out from amongst the Dao sect disciples while she softly said, "Oh." Wu Kun declined to comment when he heard Ling Qingzhu's words. Together with the demon corpse, Lindong might still have a chance against Lei Qian. However, on the precondition of not being able to use the demon corpse, Wu Kun was unable to think of what qualifications Lindong had to fight with Lei Qian. "Ha ha, you have guts." The ferocious smile on Lei Qian's face immediately grew wider when he saw that Lindong actually dared to face him in battle. Moreover, there was an abnormally wild joy dancing within his eyes. His loss in unique Devil City had undoubtedly caused fury to rise within his heart. Now, he finally had the opportunity to personally get back his face. Although he had suffered a little at Lindong's hands due to his somewhat strange skill, Lei Qian had the confidence that he would definitely be able to cause Lindong to be unable to even retaliate should he go all out. This was his confidence as one of the three little kings of Yuan Gate. This time around, he wanted to completely crush Lindong under his feet in front of everyone. Lindong's expression was calm, while green light surged on his body. Immediately, both his hands and legs began to shake and transform into green dragon limbs. Moreover, a pair of green wings began to extend from his back. It transformed into dragon wings and spread apart immediately. Green dragon scales surfaced on Lindong's body. The scales sparkled under the sunlight, while an icy cold and sharp luster was reflected. The dragon fist was slowly clenched. Lin Dong's eyes became increasingly cold as he sensed the majestic beast-like strength. This physical body-enhancing martial art seems to be quite good. However, I wonder just how punches of mine it can endure. Lei Qian's mouth parted into a sneer. In the next instant, the ferocity on his face abruptly intensified as his foot suddenly took a step forward. Bang! Thunder rumbled the moment Lei Qian's foot landed on the ground. After which, everyone saw Lei Qian's body seemingly teleport. In a flash, a bolt of lightning had already tore through the sky. The lightning glow rapidly expanded within Lin Dong's eyes. Lei Qian's speed had already reached an astonishing level. Swoosh! The green dragon wings on Lin Dong's back suddenly flapped. An afterimage remained on the original spot while his body swiftly withdrew. Boom! Lin Dong's body had just pulled back when the lightning glow suddenly arrived. A fist containing wild and violent strength shattered the afterimage with a punch. TCH, you are quite quick in fleeing. However, can you really escape? The corners of Lei Qian's mouth involuntarily curled when his punch missed. Immediately, he bent two of his fingers and directly pointed them towards the direction in which Lin Dong had withdrawn. Lightning light space tearing finger. A lightning-like silver yuan power light beam suddenly shot out from the tips of Lei Qian's fingers, booming as it tore through the air. In a flash, it had already caught up with the swiftly retreating Lin Dong. Moreover, it had directly targeted the fatal spot on his throat. Clearly, Lei Qian did not have any intention of showing mercy in his attack. Desolate demon eye? A demonic grey eye swiftly appeared between Lin Dong's brows. After which, grey light that contained a powerful destructive force shot out and collided with the silver beam of light. Bang! A deep noise resounded in the air as a wild and violent fluctuation swept apart. The two attacks had actually annihilated each other. I will just see how many times you can block me. Lei Qian did not become angry when he saw that his attack was broken. Instead, he smiled in a sinister manner. His strength far surpassed that of Lin Dong. If they were to compare the extent of their yuan power, he would be able to exhaust the latter to death many times over. This kind of yuan power consumption was naturally something that he was most happy to see. After Lei Qian's cold laughter sounded, one could see that the lightning glow around him had suddenly condensed. After which, it transformed into a lightning hand. This lightning hand's fingers were curled. In the next instant, it thrust at the air. Lightning rain explosive finger. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Wild and violent light beams seemingly filled the sky. They contained a shockingly lethal strength that swept over the sky under the watching gazes of countless shocked eyes. The scope of this attack had directly covered all of Lin Dong's retreat paths. This attack could be considered ferocious. Lei Qian's reputation of being the Little Thunder King was indeed not in vain. Just this attack alone would cause many 9 Yuan Nirvana stage experts to have a change in expression. Lin Ding lifted his head. His eyes were grim as he watched the torrential rain of lightning that came sweeping over the sky. He could sense extreme danger from this attack. Who? A cluster of white air was slowly exhaled from Lin Dong's mouth. Immediately, an extremely thick green light surged out of his eyes. Raw? Majestic green light suddenly swept out from Lin Dong's body at that instant. The green light lingered around his body before beginning to agglomerate together. A moment later, a low and deep dragon roar suddenly sounded out. 100 feet large green dragon-like figure suddenly appeared at this moment, while a powerful pressure spread across the sky. In that instant, it appeared as though a genuine giant dragon had descended. Green heaven materialized dragon skill, green dragon descent. As Lin Dong's proficiency in the green heaven materialized dragon skill gradually increased, his understanding of this martial art had also gradually deepened. He was now already able to rely on the heavenly dragon aura within his body to agglomerate a green dragon. Moreover, this green dragon undoubtedly possessed a greater divinity compared to the past. Its might was ferocious and unfathomable. The green dragon swam in the sky above Lin Dong's head. After which, it swung its large light tail violently. Space itself appeared to have become distorted at this moment. The lightning rain that was pouring down from all over the sky immediately blasted apart with a bang wherever the light tail passed. They were just like brilliant fireworks. Bang! The green dragon light tail swept out in an unreasonable manner and forcefully exploded the lightning rain. After which, its strength was not the least bit weakened as it directly slammed downwards at Lei Qian. Humph! Lei Qian's expression had clearly changed slightly at this moment. However, he did not pull back but instead coldly snorted. Resplendent lightning surged out, causing his hair to completely stand on ends. After which, he clenched his fist as it furiously blasted out. Lightning Dragon Sky Roaring Punch. A similar ferocious and uncontrolled dragon roar was emitted from within Lei Qian's body. After which, majestic lightning gathered and actually transformed into an enormous lightning dragon. Bang! The lightning dragon's roar rumbled across the sky. It carried a wild and violent strength as it directly collided with the green dragon in front of watching crowds' eyes. At that instant, they appeared like two colliding meteorites. Their momentum was earth-shaking. A wild yuan power storm swept across the sky in a crazy fashion. The scale of the collision caused the expressions of many people to change drastically. Bang bang! A storm unfurled in the sky. Two figures revealed miserable appearances as they shot backwards in the sky. Each of them drew a 100-meter-long line in the sky before they forcibly stabilized their bodies. Countless eyes instantly looked over. A low clamor sounded when they saw the miserable appearances of the two individuals. However, most of them were shocked that Lin Dong was able to fight with Lei Qian to such an extent. After all, regardless of how ferocious his martial arts were, Lei Qian was an expert at the half-a-foot to mysterious life stage. It was common sense that the strength between the yuan power of the two should be akin to the distance between heaven and earth. He does have some ability. Wu Kun from Nine Heavens Supreme Purity Palace had a surprised expression flashing across his eyes when he saw this scene. He rubbed his nose and spoke a little bitterly. He had originally believed that Lin Dong was only seeking his own humiliation by provoking the other party. However, from the looks of the current situation, this fellow's actual battle power had far exceeded his exterior strength. Big brother Lin Dong is still so formidable. Su Ruo spoke in an excited manner. The degree of worship in her eyes was still increasing. It is still too early to be happy now. Ling Qingzhu shook her head at this moment. A pair of clear eyes were locked onto Lei Qian's figure in the distant sky, while a glimpse of a solemn expression flashed across her eyes. Bang bang! Dark clouds had begun to gather in the sky. After which, everyone felt the yuan power around them vaguely show traces of becoming berserk. Bolts of lightning suddenly whizzed down from the dark clouds in the sky. In an instant, the entire place had turned into a world of thunder. Lei Qian was suspended in the lightning-filled sky. His somewhat dark face contained a sternness that caused one's heart to beat faster. Soon after, he slowly extended his hand under the many watching gazes, and thunderbolts gathered around his body. At that moment, it appeared as though a lightning god had descended. Next, I shall let you witness my Yuan Gate supreme martial arts. You can call yourself blessed to be killed by this. Lei Qian's voice was just like a muffled thunder. It contained a monstrous murderous intent that rumbled like thunder. In the next instant, his hand had suddenly formed a mysterious seal. This is. Yin Xiaoxiao's group watched the seal formed by Lei Qian's hands. Their pupils immediately constricted as a grave voice suddenly echoed. One of the three great divine codes of Yuan Gate. Lightning God Codex. Countless thunderbolts came pouring down from the dark clouds in the sky from every direction. The deafening roar reverberated over the entire basin. It appeared as though the land itself had begun to tremble slightly at this moment. Lei Qian's figure stood amidst the thunderbolts that permeated the sky while lightning flowed around his body. Along with the silver glow that spread over his entire body, he appeared just like a lightning god when viewed from a great distance. Lightning God Codex. Numerous exclamations continued to appear while lightning thundered across the sky. It was likely that people had recognized this extremely well-known and powerful martial arts of Yuan Gate. He has actually been forced to use the Lightning God Codex. Looks like that brat really has some ability. Little Spirit King Lingchen watched the scene in the sky and could not help but smile in surprise as he spoke. Lin Dong seems to have cultivated both yuan power and mental energy at the same time. Otherwise, with his 7 yuan nirvana stage strength, he would not be able to pester Lei Qian to such an extent. Yuan Kan replied indifferently. However, that will end here. Ling Zhen slightly smiled and nodded. Lin Dong's ability to pester Lei Qian to such an extent had indeed greatly exceeded their expectations. However, in the face of Lei Qian, who had now used the Lightning God Codex, he did not think that Lin Dong would have the ability to continue dragging out this battle. Victory or defeat would likely be determined in the next exchange. It is likely that Dao sect will act more obediently if we cripple this brat. What we need to do now is to observe the burning sky ancient stash. We do not have the time to get entangled with them. We will properly settle the score with them once the matter here is settled. Ling Zhen spoke with a smile. His smile was enchanting, but there was a dark ruthlessness surging deep within his eyes. Yuan Kang smiled indifferently and did not say anything else. Both of his hands were placed behind him as his eyes looked towards the skinny figure amidst the lightning that permeated the sky. An unconcerned arc was lifted from the corners of his mouth. Bang! Following the change in the obscure seals formed by Lei Qian's hands, the dark clouds in the sky swiftly began to wiggle. Immediately, it gradually turned into a funnel-shaped dark cloud. Countless lightning bolts gathered at the tip of the dark cloud. Its brightness was unusually glaring. The ferocious smile on Lei Qian's face became increasingly wide under the glow of the lightning that covered the sky. He suddenly clenched his hand and the lightning at the tip of the dark cloud suddenly spluttered out wildly. Boom! Light poured down like a thunderbolt and gathered above Lei Qian's head. Finally, the light agglomerated and formed an enormous 1,000-feet-long lightning spear. The lightning spear was saturated with lightning which continuously danced across its surface. Wave after wave of shockingly destructive power frantically spluttered outwards. Distortions had even started to appear in the surrounding space. What berserk fluctuations! The expressions of Ying Xiaoxiao's group were grave as they watched the enormous lightning spear taking shape in the sky. Anxiety surged within their eyes. Ying Huan's jade-like hands, which were on the zither strings, had similarly tensed up at this moment, while her pearly white teeth bit into her lips. There seemed to be an icy blue luster vaguely surging deep within her eyes. However, even she did not notice this scene. Lei Qian has become much stronger compared to before. Chen Gui stared at the sky. He hesitated for a moment, before looking towards Qingtan beside him as he asked, "Do I need to intervene?" He could see that Lin Dong's strength seemed to be at the 7 yuan nirvana stage. At the same time, he also sensed quite a powerful mental energy ripple. It was likely that Lin Dong possessed rather great accomplishments in both areas. However, there was still quite a big gap between him and Lei Qian. At this moment, the latter had already activated his trump card. Lin Dong's situation was not good at all. There's no need. However, Qingtan merely smiled sweetly and shook her head in response to his good intentions. She raised her head as the light from the lightning in the sky was reflected on her unusually beautiful face. There appeared to be a fanatical expression vaguely present on it. Brother Lin Dong will not lose. The young lady merely smiled as she uttered these words. Her black dress and enormous black scythe gave her a strange yet bewitching appearance. Chen Gui was momentarily startled. Soon after, he nodded quietly. It was the first time that he had seen such an expression on Qingtan during all these years. The young lady before him would not reveal such an expression even in front of his most respected master. Lightning God Codex her. Lin Dong's figure appeared just like a small boat in the vast ocean amidst that wild and violent thunderbolts that permeated the sky. It appeared as though he would capsize at any moment. His eyes stared at a ferociously smiling Lei Qian in the distance, who was raising his hand high above his body. Lin Dong could sense an extremely dangerous fluctuation from the enormous lightning spear. Since you wish to go all out, let me accompany you, Lin Dong muttered to himself. Soon after, he slowly extended both of his hands in front countless watching gazes. Next, an unusually obscure light array began to slowly take shape in his palm. Lin Dong's eyes focused slightly when the light array was formed. Majestic yuan power and mental energy began pour in like a flood. Swoosh! That originally palm-sized light array suddenly began to expand at a shocking speed as the energies were poured in. In a short couple of breaths, it had already expanded to a couple 100 feet in size. From a distance, this light array slowly rotated as it stood in front of Lin Dong, while a ripple that could not be described quietly spread out from it. What is this? Lin Dong's actions had clearly been captured by countless eyes. Surprise surfaced in everyone's eyes when they saw the slowly rotating light array appear in front of them. An unorthodox skill. Nothing more than futile effort. Lei Qian was also startled because of this. Immediately, the ferocious smile on his face became even denser. From the looks of it, it seemed that Lin Dong was actually planning on receiving his attack head-on. This was undoubtedly seeking death from his point of view. Since you wish to die, I shall fulfill your wish. The enormous lightning spear above Lei Qian's head was already complete. Bright lightning flickered wildly on it, while wave after wave of astonishing fluctuations continued to sweep apart. Lei Qian's hand reached forward. After which, he clenched it abruptly. Everyone watched as the enormous lightning spear slowly shifted. In the end, it had directly locked onto the faraway Lin Dong. Lightning God Codex, world-extinguishing spear. A thunderous roar suddenly emerged from Lei Qian's throat as the green veins on his hand pulsed like dragons. In the next moment, his arm trembled. His body leaned forward slightly and his arm swung out furiously. Bang! The entire place appeared to tremble violently at this moment. Immediately, everyone watched as the enormous lightning spear transformed into a 1,000 feet large lightning bolt. It violently shot out. The glow from the attack reached out, appearing just like a world-extinguishing lightning dragon that was brandishing its claws. Such a sight was truly dreadful. A frightening pressure seemed to have covered the area 1,000 feet around Lin Dong in an instant, while the latter released a deep breath. Immediately, his eyes became stern as his hand slammed onto the large light array in front of him at lightning speed. Ancient universe formation, reverse rotation. A resonating voice was transmitted from Lin Dong's mouth. In the next moment, the enormous light array began to wildly rotate in the reverse direction as strange lights frantically began to gather within the light array. Disintegrate? Lin Dong's eyes were cold. Two of his fingers thrust forward and landed on the light array. Immediately, the entire light array trembled. A strange light beam that was dozens of feet in size emitted a swoosh sound as it surged out of the light array. Sizzle sizzle. That light beam did not possess an overly astonishing aura. However, some extremely sharp individuals could feel all the natural yuan power that was originally present suddenly disappeared in a strange manner after the light beam passed by. Such a disappearance was extremely thorough, as if it had been completely annihilated. The usually indifferent expression of Little Yuan Kang changed drastically at this moment. Bang! When Yuan Kang's expression experienced a drastic change, the two ferocious attacks in the sky that had attracted the attention of countless pairs of eyes had already arrived before each other and finally collided. Countless people watched this scene in fear. Victory and defeat would be determined in this exchange. This video will end here.